For those of you who have been watching my streams for quite some time at this point, you probably all are familiar with that intro, right? I'm pretty sure that you all are. Have you ever wondered when you see that and you hear that intro sound of emerging from the water, ready to begin, ready to talk about the issues, right? You also see a content rating with content descriptors. Because I, Zach the Ranting Guy, I self rate all my live streams. And I've been doing it since episode 70 of the Z podcast. Now, every video pre recorded as well as every live episode on this channel, I self rate. Anything before episode 70, I will just say was 18 plus by default because this channel's always been 18 plus, period. So I self rated as 18 plus. But you ever wondered how I actually rate this channel? Well, start off like this, for example. You see where it says right here, I have the parental advisor explicit content, right? Well, almost every stream, I generally know the topics I'm going to talk about. I go through all sorts of news and all sorts of other information and other stuff going on, whatever I come up with, whatever I decide I'm going to talk about, other, other things that my homies and I will discuss and we might come up with and we might talk about. So I decide, okay, what topic will there be? So if I know for a fact that we're going to have a lot of dark humor and a lot of and even like some memes that we show, but even some videos of like some memes or some like AI generated stuff might be violent. So we would include violence in the content descriptor. And we all know that this channel is bad language. I mean, bad language because, we say fuck, shit, everything constantly throughout. Like, bad language as well is the least it's the least surprising on this channel, obviously. So we're all known for bad language on this channel. Sexual situations we'll have as well, depending on the topic. Drug references we definitely been having that a lot more drug and substance abuse topics on this channel as of late because we've been talking a lot about, drug wars, drug cartels, and other shit like that. There's also times where there's memes with flashing lights. I'll also, if I'm gonna be doing those, I'll also put that in there as well. So oftentimes, here's the kicker of what I do. I go right here, I click on this. This is like a text bubble. And I go right here and I type in the info of what it's going to contain. And then I copy and paste it and put it in my original descriptor, which I have above me before I start streaming and whatnot. It basically is the window before I get ready for the entire stream and whatnot. So that's what I do because I'm familiar with just about everything that I'm going to talk about in a particular stream. So let me give you some examples of how some of the content in a content descriptor might be just a little bit different. And let me try to explain how it just might be. So, for example, if we have an episode, we have an episode here that says, if something contains something throughout, there's a difference. Now, for example, if there's certain types of stuff that goes on throughout an entire stream, for example, what that means, let's say we say the warning states bad language, sexual situations, and drug references throughout, and flashing lights, violence, and dark themes. That was the most recent one. But violence, flashing lights, and dark themes were not mentioned. They were mentioned without the throughout there. The difference is because when it says something throughout, if it's got throughout at the end of it, that means that those elements are continuous or frequent throughout the entire stream. But if you have something like along with flashing lights, violence, and dark themes mentioned without throughout, that means the elements are present, but they're less frequent or they're more isolated. So, what the rating tells you is that while all five elements would be present, you should expect bad language, sexual situations, and drug references for the majority of the time more often than you would see flashing lights, violence, or dark themes. Now, if it was an especially violent episode, like we're just talking all about just dark shit or just totally, completely dark stuff and whatnot, then I would just say violence throughout or bad language throughout. Now, normally I don't have flashing lights throughout because I'm, not. There's really no reason we would have flashing lights all throughout an entire stream. So that would be relatively uncommon. But let's say there is an episode does have violence throughout and does have bad language throughout. We would just say bad language and violence throughout. And if it only has some sexual situations, we'll just say bad language and violence throughout, and some sexual situations, some drug references, some alcohol references occasionally. So if we're saying that something is throughout along with something else, it means the former is obviously throughout, whereas if it says along with something else like flashing lights, violence, that means it's still there, but it's just obviously less there, if that makes any sense. So, to boot, that's how I rate my streams. And I generally know what the episode's going to contain. Now on more rare occasions, if the episode has like the entirety of stuff like flashing lights, bad language, violence, and it just has all that combined, but it's all an equal amount, like bad language and everything else is way. Now, let's just say bad language was maybe not as present. Maybe I just don't say as much. I mean, obviously, I still do, but let's say it's not throughout. I would just say flashing lights, violence, bad language, sexual situations, whatever it would contain. I wouldn't even need to put a throughout. I would just list it out there. Rated 18 plus, flashing lights, violence, bad language, sexual situations, whatever. This is a perfect way to do it because it prevents this channel from getting into issues with YouTube community guidelines. I don't care if they age restrict me because this channel, I cannot be any more clear with what I do with this channel, that this channel is not for children. Now, I don't care if older teenagers want to watch my stuff. As long as, like, okay, I have some fans that are in like the 15, 16 age range. If you're like 14 and older, I could say 18 plus, but I'll allow 14 up to like no less than 14 plus, I would say. I would say it's okay for like older teenagers and stuff like that. That's fine, but nothing else other than that. So it just varies on a case by case basis. So I rate these streams for a reason, and also if you're sensitive to certain language or if you're sensitive to dark humor or graphic material, then this channel definitely is not for you because this channel often is dark. It can occasionally be violent, can occasionally be sexual, with sexual situations, a lot of sexual situations, and definitely has all sorts of bad language and a lot of dark themes and everything else, and can occasionally even be violent. So it's definitely not for children, and it's definitely not for sensitive adults either. So it's only meant for older teenagers and adults. Most of my age range is somewhere like I think like 25, but between like 20 and 30 for the most part, anyways. So that's how I rate my streams. I rate my streams based on all the content that I'm going to talk about beforehand, and then I splice it together, and then I come up with the best age rating that is at least as consistent with the content that I'm going to put in my stream beforehand as possible. Because I always know what I'm going to talk about. I always know what I'm going to talk about, so I usually do that, and I just come up with the best age rating that makes the most amount of sense for what it is. If I have to edit something, if I think it might contain more stuff, I'll just edit it and put something else in. I might edit the number, or might just edit the language around maybe just a little bit, maybe just edit the descriptors, maybe just a teensy weensy little bit. But other than that, everything else is pretty consistent. So that about wraps it up there. That's pretty much, I wanted to discuss this more in vivid detail. 10 minutes, kind of short and sweet. So basically just decided to do that, but I want to say thank you all for watching. Again, hope you all enjoyed my most recent stream. I'll be back again with my next stream and my next video coming up again soon. My next stream will be on Monday before Christmas. Look out for that. Have yourself a great rest of your week. See you all in the next one. Until then, Zach the Celtics guy signing off for now, and we'll see you in the next stream and in the next video. Take care, stay safe, stay well, stay classy, keep fighting, keep on rocking, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have yourselves a good one, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, Zach the Celtics guy signing off. Good night, peace, and so long.